The house stood at the end of Gravenroe Lane like a wound that never healed, its windows blackened with soot and age, its walls bloated with secrets, and every local child knew to cross the street when passing it because the ghosts of the victims still haunt this house, or so the elders whispered with trembling lips. And I never believed them until the night my car broke down right in front of its rusted gate, and the fog rolled in so thick it swallowed the moonhole, forcing me to seek shelter where no living soul dared to step, and as I pushed the gate, it screamed like a dying animal, echoing across the empty road, the sound sinking straight into my bones, and the front door opened far too easily, as if the house itself had been waiting for me, breathing out a smell of rot, damp wood, and something far worse, old blood layered beneath decades of decay. And the moment I crossed the threshold, the air grew unnaturally cold, freezing my lungs with each breath, while the door slammed shut behind me without wind or warning, locking me inside. And that was when I heard it. The faintest sobbing drifting from somewhere deep within the house, a sound so fragile and broken it made my skin prickle. And against my better judgment, I followed it down a hallway lined with peeling wallpaper where shadowy handprints stained walls as if people had clawed their way through them, and with every step the sobbing multiplied into whispers, dozens of voices, murmuring prayers, curses, pleas for mercy, until the hallway ended at a grand staircase where something dark pooled at the base like a living shadow, and when I stepped closer, the shadow moved, rising into the shape of a woman with her face twisted backward, her mouth sewn shut with black thread, her eyes leaking thick, black tears that dripped onto the floor and sizzled like acid. And before I could scream, she vanished, leaving behind only the sound of children laughing softly behind me, and when I turned, the staircase was suddenly crowded with pale figures, men, women, children, all standing unnaturally still, their bodies bent at impossible angles, their throats bruised, wrists slit, faces burned, each one staring at me with hollow eyes filled with accusation. And as they opened their mouths, the house shook violently, floorboards buckling, walls bleeding, fresh blood, and their voices merged into one deafening cry, telling me their story, forcing their memories into my mind like knives, showing me how this house once belonged to a respected man who welcomed the poor, the lost, the unwanted. But behind closed doors he slaughtered them, trapping them inside, experimenting on their bodies, torturing them slowly in the basement while the town turned a blind eye, and how fire eventually consumed the house, killing him but leaving his victims trapped forever between walls soaked in suffering, unable to leave, reliving their deaths every night. And as the visions ended, I realized the house wasn't showing me this to scare me, it wanted something from me. And the spirits surged forward, their hands passing through my flesh but freezing my blood, dragging me toward the basement door that creaked open to reveal a staircase descending into absolute darkness. And as I was pulled down, I saw carvings in the walls, names, dates, final prayers, thousands of them, each one a life, erased, and at the bottom of the stairs, I found the source of the sobbing. A massive room filled with cages, bones piled like monuments, chains hanging from the ceiling still dripping blood, though decades had passed. And in the center stood a tall mirror covered in handprints, and when I looked into it, I didn't see myself, I saw the killer, smiling through my eyes. And the realization struck me with horror: the house was choosing its next caretaker, someone to replace him, someone to keep the cycle alive. The spirits screamed louder, begging me to refuse, but the house tightened around me, walls closing in, whispers drilling into my skull until my thoughts weren't my own, until I felt joy at their pain, hunger for their fear. And just as my will broke entirely, a final vision flashed before me, my car mysteriously fixed, the door open, the fog lifting, and I ran, tearing myself free, escaping as the house shrieked in rage. And when I finally collapsed on the road at dawn, the house stood silent behind me, looking empty and harmless again. But as I drove away, I noticed something carved into my arm, letters burned into my skin, reading, "You cannot save them all." And now every night I hear the whispers outside my window, see handprints on my walls, feel the cold breath of the victims on my neck, because the ghosts of the victims still haunt this house. And now so do I, even though I escaped, because a part of me never truly left. And I know one day the house will call me back, and next time I won't run.